I think with that out of the way, with kind of the problem statement out of the way, we kind of jump right into that. Let's take it back just a little bit. What is the role of a mentor versus a mentee? And this is something that we've had a conversation with on the stream. And I think a lot of people have a confusion about what the difference between those two roles are and what they're supposed to do.
There is a lot of confusion here. And one of the things that we've learned is that it's extremely important as we've built a mentorship program to define the rules and help people understand, like, how do you have this relationship over time and make sure that everyone's getting something out of it. So a lot of people think that a mentor should be a coach. So let's start with the mentor side. There's a confusion that mentors should be coaches. And, mentors are not coaches. It's not like hiring a career coach when you go get a mentor. Mentors are more like guides and sounding boards and advisors to you to help you get unstuck, to think outside of the box. In best case scenarios, mentors turn into what we call champions, where they are even willing to advocate for you. Maybe they're willing to make introductions for you to get a job. They're willing to open doors in your career now because they have really gotten invested in your relationship as time has gone on. So that's really the role of a mentor.
How does that compare and contrast to like a coach? Because you said that people confuse the two terms, and I've seen that, and that makes sense in terms of the guidance and kind of the vision and the foresight. How does that differ from a coach? And ironically enough, I've actually had somebody ask me in my DMs if they should hire a career coach to help them, throughout their cybersecurity career. So what's that difference there?
So career coaches are much more in the nitty gritty of like what your resume looks like. How are you building and writing your resume? Are you building a personal brand? This is something career coaches like to talk about a lot, right? What is your personal brand? How are you talking about yourself on social media? How are you building your LinkedIn profile? They will get into typically less of the aspects of like in this case, cybersecurity. So career coaches aren't going to know typically like what are the career paths in security. A mentor will know that. They won't know more of those really domain specific things. They won't help you through a technical issue you're having at work, but they can do things like broadly help you get to that next career step if you're stuck by working on things like that are very tactical, like your resume and your LinkedIn and your, asking you questions almost like a therapist would. I like to talk about career therapy.
So career coach, very tactical, very, very, let's fix the resumes, let's fix the LinkedIn, let's fix this. Mentorship should be, let's talk about your vision, let's talk about your long-term goals, let's talk about, the roadmap that we get you there, long-term versus short-term.
Yeah, so when, like at Battleship, we look at mentoring like, let's say you have an overarching goal. Typically, people who are looking for a mentor have some kind of big goal. So they have a goal like, hey, I want to get my first job in cybersecurity, or I want to be a pen tester, or, I've had somebody come to me who wants to be a director, right, at a startup in security and talking about, so how do I make that happen? So there's a lot of different like big goals you might have to want a mentor. But in order to meet that big goal, great mentors help you set micro goals towards that overarching vision, because you're looking for kind of like I said earlier, a guide, somebody that can say, well, hey, have you thought about this? Or why haven't you already met that goal? Right? So let's talk about that. Like, what do you think are the reasons why you are stuck here and you haven't met that goal? So let's talk about what can you be doing? What can you be doing differently? Is it realistic? So mentors shouldn't discourage you, by the way. We never want mentors to discourage you. Mentors should be helping you problem solve, but also being positive. If they're discouraging you, it's not a good mentor.
What's the difference? Now that's a distinct difference there. What's the difference between discouraging you but providing you direct, crucial, critical feedback?
So a mentor, instead of discouraging you, should say, you can meet that goal, right? You can do that, but there may be some steps you have to take before you can get there. So a realistic path for you may be that you need to be a sysadmin, right? Or you need to go to help desk before you break into security based on your past history. Or maybe you should think about doing this over here. Let's see if we can get you an internship so you have the hands-on experience before you go for, you keep applying to jobs. So they should help you think more strategically about that larger goal. And it's instead of it being discouragement, oh, you're never going to get there. It should be, oh, hey, okay, so that's your goal. Let's talk about the steps you're going to have to take and how long it may actually really take. Like, what is the timeline towards that goal? Because what I see a lot is that people end up discouraging themselves because things are taking too long. I mean, I've had people write me and say, hey, I've been looking for a job in cyber for 2 years.
Right.
And I've just given up.
Well, that length period of time, I think that's, I know we're on a thread about mentors, and I do want to get to the mentee part of this, but I think that thread is important. I think, what you talked about hitting the right set of expectations, that you may be on a long road to a career path. How do mentors deal with maybe some unrealistic expectations, or how do you coach a mentee who has unrealistic expectations about their road into cybersecurity?
So this is a hard one, and it's really personal. So one of the things that we found is that in order for a mentoring relationship to work, there fundamentally has to be this bedrock of trust between the two people. And that requires some level of chemistry. I liken mentoring almost to dating. Okay.
That's funny you said that, because we said that a couple weeks ago as well. It's like, you're almost in a relationship.
Yeah, you are almost in a relationship, and every mentor may not be the right fit for you. So we encourage people to talk to a few people, especially if one mentor feels like they might not be a good fit. Like, okay, so see who might be a better fit for you, because in order for a mentee to be like open to hearing these messages, there has to be that trust. There has to be that like base relationship, and understanding. Otherwise, people will shut down.
Yeah. All right. So we've kind of pulled on that mentor thread a little bit. Yeah. What's the role of a mentee, and kind of like, what's it like to be on that side, and what makes a good mentee? What makes a bad mentee? Where should their head be at?
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say is that I think everyone should be a mentee. So that's my personal thing, is like, I think everybody at every career stage could use a mentor and could really benefit from being a mentee.
Is it a better way to say that? Is it a better way to say that everybody is a mentee, period, dot,
yeah,
whether they know it or not? They're a mentee to somebody. They may just not have found their mentor yet.
Yeah, that's a nice way. That's kind of a poetic way to say it.
Yeah, exactly. If we're talking about relationships here a little bit, I just haven't found my right mentor yet.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's like, I just haven't met the one.
That's right.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing, because so for mentees, here's what I hear from mentors that don't want to work with people. Okay, so when we hear problems from mentors, whether they're in our mentoring program or not, I've seen this in other places. These are the things you don't want to do as a mentee. You don't want to come into a mentoring relationship with no idea about what your goal is. You don't want to come into the relationship and expect a transaction. So you should expect to invest, almost like you're dating, right? Like, this is like the first time you meet your mentor. It's almost like a blind date. And so you want to be investing in that relationship and not just trying to have like this transactional, like, oh, hey, what can you do for me? Is
a goal really quick? Let me pull on that one. Is a goal of a mentor and a mentee, if the mentee walks up to the mentor and says, I want you to help me find a job in pen testing, is that a right sized goal?
I think during those first conversations, I think that the better conversation to have is I want, my goal is to have a job in pen testing, and I'd like to explore with you how you might be able to help me, right, on that path. Because so you don't want to overwhelm your mentor at the beginning either, right? So if you go to your mentor and you're like, oh, hey, how are you going to get me a job? Like, oh my God, I don't even know you. Like, this is so that you kind of you have to just like pull that back a little bit and say, hey, let me tell you about myself and where I want to go. Like, my goal is that I want a job in pen testing, and I'd love to hear about you. And let's talk about how would we work towards this together, where, I would like you to help me understand what I need to be doing to achieve that goal. And as that relationship progresses, then you can say, oh, by the way, do you think you could actually help me? Do you know anyone that might be hiring? Do you think you could make introductions for me? That kind of conversation can come later.
Okay. What else for mentees? What are some of the other bad things that you've seen mentees do, or that you've heard that mentees have done?
The biggest problem we see with mentees are that they flake out.
So what does it mean to flake out?
So they stop responding to their mentor. They don't come to the meetings. They ask somebody for help, and then they have their mentor trying to help them and just not being responsive. And that's a big pet peeve of people that are mentoring, because they feel like they've put time and energy into the relationship, and they're really giving of themselves and trying to do something nice, and then the person just isn't responsive. So when you think about, do you want a mentor? Are you ready to be a mentee? One of the biggest things that I tell people is you have to be ready to commit to the relationship, and that it's a process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And really being a mentee is thinking about having a commitment, probably at least 6 months of really building a relationship with your mentor, having conversations about meeting your goals. And it's an ongoing relationship. You're still dating for quite a while.
So it's interesting you say that. I want to kind of pull the two of them together, right? Because we talk about, it being a relationship between the mentor and the mentee. And I know that you've got some behavioral science, psychology, background and history from your college days. Do mentors and mentees, do they have the emotional fortitude to have a normal relationship, like a marriage, and a mentor-mentee relationship at the same time? Or does that get emotionally and mentally challenging for one or both?
No, we talk a lot about the importance of having boundaries, right? So you need to have some boundaries around the relationship. You come in and you should keep a lot of your personal life typically out of your mentoring relationship. Actually, should be really focused. Should be focused on your goals, focus on your professional life, focused on how you can do more to meet your professional goals. You don't, unless you really get into a friendship with your mentor or your mentee, you don't really want to start digging into a lot of personal questions. Actually, that's one thing that we tell people is a red flag. If you start meeting a mentor or a mentee and they're asking you a lot of personal questions, that's not a good
run away. Clingy mentor, clingy mentee. I saw a bunch of chat talking about swiping left and swiping right as we talk about the relationship aspect of that. When you talk about that building trust, then I guess explain what's the process of building trust. If you're not supposed to talk about personal life, right, which is typically what you do in a relationship, what are the typical types of questions, or what is that interaction like between those two that kind of help build that trust, or kind of help build that rapport?
So when you first let's break this out. So if you're finding a mentor on your own, and I talk to people a lot about how to find a mentor on their own, not just through our program. If you're finding a mentor on your own, you actually want to start with those base, getting to know you kind of questions, right? I'm interested in this field and I see you work here. Would you be willing to have a call with me to chat about your job? What's it like to work there? How did you get there? if you are working through our program, kind of that's been already taken care of for you. We handle all the matching and making sure that, we try to make sure it's a good fit right off the bat. But you still want to start with, just tell me more about yourself. What are you doing? What does your day-to-day look like? How did you get there? If these are questions you'd ask your mentor, like what do you see are the obstacles to get to where you are today for someone else, those kinds of things. And you want to feel like they are open and willing to work with you. So both mentors and mentees need to have, some level of like vulnerability and openness to the relationship from the beginning. Because if either of you are too closed off or standoffish, that typically, it doesn't feel very good, right? It doesn't feel like you're going to be able to build that relationship.
So you talk about vulnerabilities. These are vulnerabilities that we shouldn't worry about patching. Sorry, that was a terrible cybersecurity joke. For up-to-the-minute cybersecurity news, make sure you follow and subscribe to the Cyber and Security channel on Twitch and YouTube. Also, make sure you turn on those notifications so that you know when we go live.